All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for taking out some time to attend this webinar. SolidWorks Composer is quite a wonderful tool, and it is just the tool that many engineers and illustrators have been wishing for. Sure, this product isn't new from SolidWorks, but trust me, over the years it's just evolved to get smarter and easier. I'm Jayesh Halgekar, also known as Jay, and I'm the multi-product specialist for the SolidWorks Technical Communication Suite of products. I am, and I'm just going to go ahead and introduce you to Composer and the benefits of this. All right, so here's the agenda for today's webinar. We will begin with a quick introduction of ourselves and the SolidWorks Innovation Platform. This may be a little repetitive for for those of you who attended the previous webinar on MBD, but it's just 2 slides, so just hang along. And after that, I will just talk about the business issue that SolidWorks recognized to create Composer as a solution. And then we will jump right in to talk about Composer. What is it? Why should you use it? What are the benefits that you can expect? And it'll be followed by a demonstration of the tool on a SolidWorks assembly CAD file. So we as Central Innovation are happy to partner with you for your end-to-end technical requirements in design. We understand that good designs need to be supported by better hardware, services, and skills. For over 18 years now, InterCAD has been on the forefront of 3D modeling software and powerful hardware. So along with the best of breed software, with SolidWorks, we also help you and we can be a solution partner for the best available hardware and the high clocking machines particularly built for modeling and rendering. Our CAD solutions are also supported by services like ERP integration, data migration, and also design automation. And we are also proud to have developed our own proprietary solutions and services. We also have the largest team of certified SolidWorks engineers in Australia and New Zealand, and also have a recruitment division, which is an efficient resource for the skill sets in 3D CAD and more. So Central Innovation is your one-stop solution partner for all your design needs. So this is just a slide talking about the SolidWorks Innovation Platform. It's a solution for every stage of your design process. Beginning with the design, we have modules for mechanical and electrical. The next stage would be to validate these created designs, for which there are simulation tools which help you with structural analysis, flow analysis, and also plastic injection molding. And one of the must-to-have tools for managing and controlling and also governing the usage of your 3D data is PDM. And you also have an array of tools that help communicate your engineering data for a variety of purposes. The SolidWorks Technical Communication Suite includes MBD, that's model-based definition, which is an extraordinary product, initially built for military divisions, but now has been made commercial, which offers a drawingless manufacturing solution. You also have inspection, which can generate automated ballooning drawings and first inspection articles and more. And you have Visualize, which is a software that helps render photorealistic content for your CAD data. So feel free to contact us for any of these tools that you would like to know more about, and we will connect you to our solution specialist. So let's talk about the critical business issue. So here is a scenario of a board meeting where the company is working on the launch of a new proprietary product that their research shows should be already in the market. There's already a huge demand. Engineering team is ready with their design and CAD files, and the company's focus is to get the parts manufactured and ready for market. Sounds like a wonderful situation, doesn't it? Well, not so much for this little guy here in his bunker. I wonder how many of you folks can empathize with him. When we discuss this situation with our customers, most often this is the engineering manager, or just let's say a representative of the engineering team. And in some companies, they have illustrators or content designers who are in this exact position. So now, looking at our current situation, every team now needs to have collateral for their individual department functioning. Procurement teams needs the bill of materials and drawings to get it to the vendors. The marketing team would like to have visual representation of the models to prepare the marketing collateral. Every department has the KPIs on their mind, and the key ingredient for all the collateral that everyone needs is the 3D model or the CAD data of the product. And I hope you didn't miss out the CEO comment here. Technical documentation is often customers' first exposure to your products. For better or worse, many customers will judge your company based on the quality of your technical documentation. It's integral to the overall product and brand experience, and effective technical communication is now like a must have. It's not a nice to have anymore. Today, technical communication applies to all kinds of media. It's graphic, animation, audio. Well, that's what the 21st century needs today. Well, what's the worry? The CAD model is the heart of all this requirement for companies like us. All product communication collateral is built on this initial input, the CAD file, which is provided by the engineering or the design department. So now this team is under the pressure of this additional enterprise-wide demands, which are now customized to individual departments. Quite often, the additional resources for the illustrations and special effects are engaged, but this is just additional costs for the company, additional follow-ups, additional dependence. Does any of this sound familiar with your situations right now? Say hello to SOLIDWORKS Composer, one tool by which you can quickly and easily create stunning visual assets for all your collateral by just repurposing your existing CAD data and without tying down to your SolidWorks licenses. This is a standalone tool which even non-engineers can use. Yep, you heard me right. No SolidWorks skills necessary. You can create better assembly instructions with exploded views, with multiple perspectives. You can produce better product manuals with more graphics, more realistic graphics. You can import CAD files straight from the source, the engineering data. You can manipulate them, annotate them, and then publish the finished work, that too, all in a fraction of the time that it took before. And this is not just restricted to SolidWorks. It, what are the types of files that you can create out of this? You can have 2D content, which can be high resolution images along with exploded views. You can have vector and raster graphics, shaded illustrations, bill of material tables, silhouette to wireframe, flat renderings, you name it. Whatever you could do in regular design softwares, it's all available here. Besides that, you also have 3D interactive content. Here there's an example of a C-scooter, which is I'm interacting with this model right here on PowerPoint, where I have steps to show you how the battery can be removed. So it's something that's very interactive. As I click on the buttons, it's getting me to the next stages. You can have different views created here just as you would like, and there are various formats that you can really get this published out in. I will talk about all of that during the demo as well. So you can create 3D interactive content, which can be great collateral for your marketing and the customer experience. And also you can have 3D animations. So this is also a very key feature from Composer, using your CAD data and using all individual components of each assembly or sub-assembly. You can move them around, change their states, and do a lot more just within Composer and create 3D animations. So why would you need SolidWorks Composer? I'm going to go through a traditional process, which is a very commonly observed process here, as we've been speaking to a lot of our customers as well, and we've observed the same. What currently happens for technical documentation is you have the engineering CAD data that's ready with SolidWorks, or you probably have the final product ready. Well, let's talk about having our current situation where they've developed a new proprietary product and they want to launch it in the market. Now the CAD files are ready. So what you can do is go back to engineering, tell them, all right, I need 3D views. They'll give you snapshots of this. So already you've converted your 3D to 2D. You take all of this and import it into different illustration softwares and for the tech graphics to be created. So you have Illustrator, Photoshop, CorelDRAW, and then many more. From this, you start adding all your special effects, create your high resolution images. If you want them to be created out into something that's published, you add them again into a Word file or into any other publisher formats, or maybe directly just create brochures on Photoshop and then print them out in your printed collateral. But if you want to create something more that's animation and interactive, you have to take them into different softwares that could be InDesign, FrameMaker, or some others, and then start creating your animated features or interactive features, which could be AVI files, and then you go ahead and publish. All right, this sounds okay. Most of you are using it. You're fine with it. But of course, this is quite common a scenario, isn't it? Design changes. What happens with all this collateral that you've created with all these other tools and softwares you've used? It'll all go back to the bin. There's nothing you can do about it. All you have to do is start from scratch for the new product or for the new design. With Composer, all these softwares are taken care by this one tool. With SolidWorks CAD data, you import, or not just SolidWorks CAD, you can use any CAD data from any other, like it could be Inventor, ProE, CATIA, you name it. You can import that into Composer, and from one tool, you can create both 2D and 3D formats of files. In your 2D, you can have vector as well as high resolution images, and in 3D, you can have 3D PDFs, you can have web content via HTML, like the interactive I showed you, and you can have video files as well. And when the design does change, all you have to do is update it to the new model. And all this created collateral automatically gets republished with the new date, with the new design or the new CAD file. You don't have to rework on anything at all. That's the key feature of using Composer. And not just that, it is efficient, of course, but it supersedes your current quality standards of your visual assets for any collateral, making it much easier to understand, dynamic, and detailed. Why would you want this when you can create this? So even when you talk about new product development cycles, well, most commonly observed is that you go to the market, understand the customer needs, start creating your idea, score on it, and then start your concept, product concept or your prototype. You develop that, and then you make changes to that design, have a final design, well, hoping like it's good to go first time, and first time right can get you back into production. Then you can start with all your documentation once you have the product ready or your CAD files are finalized, and then that's the documentation you take to the market. The technical communication process is always out of sync with the design process, so content creation occurs sequentially, not simultaneously with product process, because it depends on near completed products here in this traditional cycle, and the changes of the products require manual changes to be done in the technical communication material. So the content creators are normally hesitant to work prior to time because of the expense of these downstream changes. The whole process is therefore inefficient, it's slow, it's disruptive, and it affects the organization on a whole. But with SolidWorks Composer, your documentation can start much prior. Concurrent technical documentation reduces the bottlenecks in releasing these products to the market by making this technical communication part of a design process instead of an afterthought of your prototype or production. Because technical documentation can directly leverage your CAD data, any changes to the product design can automatically get reflected downstream for all your documentation. Just like I mentioned about updating new design changes into all your documentation. So that would just eventually lead you into saving your time, your cost, and you get much quicker to the market. So obviously you also have an opportunity cost that you can save. Besides this, what are the benefits? Well, you can reduce your scrap rework. You can reduce your entire subcontracting, especially when you have this tool in-house and you don't really need high skills for this. Even non-engineers can use this. So of course, you can save on all of that costs. You don't need your third-party multiple softwares. You've reduced your time to market. You've reduced the engineering time that is spent on just working out for all these different departments, the demands for the CAD files in different formats. You can of course get high quality when you're eliminating all the discrepancy and the ambiguity, especially in the training front when you have something that's more animated and visually understandable. It just eliminates most of the ambiguity out of that. And it also customizes your 3D outputs in very efficient file sizes because it uses CATIA render engine. So that's one of the best available in the market today. And of course, it's compatible to different CAD files, and you really don't need any 3D modeling as well for this. So you have a variety of options for different applications as well. And these benefits have been seen by companies world over. So if you see a couple of companies have managed to save up to 93% of the rollout process plan changes. That's especially because they were able to update design changes very easily via Composer. And they've also eliminated completely text-based training. It's all animated and visual now. So no one would read text anymore. The time to market reduced by 66%, design time reduced by 70%. That's significant, I feel, for companies. I think let's get into looking at the tool firsthand, and a demo would help. So let's just see how this tool can help creating all what you need. So in the demo, what I'll start off with importing an assembly of it's a bench grinder, which I'm going to be showing you, and I'm going to import it directly into SolidWorks Composer. I'll be creating views, and I'll show you how quick that is. After that, I'll be adding some special effects, which will include path lines and some more arrows to show directions and other things, and also some detailed views. I'll show you the different types of output content that you can publish it out into. And we'll also take a quick glance into making a quick interactive content like an animation. Of course, with the time constraint, it'll be a very minor animation, but I can show you the potential, and that's quite visible out of that. And then we will update it with the new design change for the new SolidWorks file, having a different configuration, and then you'll see how it all reflects directly back into the collateral. So now I'll just go back into SolidWorks Composer, and to start off with, I'll just show you how we can just import a project. So if you just have a look here, it shows you all the different file types that you can import. So it will include Composer, it will include SolidWorks as well as IGS, Step, Pro E, Inventor, all of them. And also with that, you have the option to change, or maybe you can customize your import profiles, your meta properties. You have different option for that. If you're not sure about that, it also gives you some default selection criteria. So if it's a SolidWorks default assembly, you can just select that, and it'll import all that's necessary and required. So it's a really intelligent tool, and you can take a lot of advantage of that. So now I've imported this CAD file, which is this bench grinder assembly, and it has all its sub assemblies and components as the final product would be like. So here, if you can see, I have different tabs here called assembly, which is just like SolidWorks. It gives you the entire assembly tree. You have views, which we'll be creating here. There's a BOM workshop, and you can also set properties. So each individual component here acts as an individual actor within Composer. You can set the properties for each of them separately or individually. Let me just start off with creating a default view. So once this is my default view, I've just clicked a button here saying capture view, and it's captured my first view. So this view will be, you can just switch back to this view at any point, just double clicking on it, and you have the first view created. So what I'll go through now is I'm going to show you how we can create maybe images to show how we can take out this assembly wheel, this grinding wheel, sorry. So I'm just going to arrange my viewport for the view I need. And you have a variety of options here. So you can see some pan head screws here. I can select them multiple with just a selection box, or I can go individually on each of them and select them. And I have the option here saying translate, which gives me a triad, and I can pull out all these screws using the triad in the direction I need. So the screws are out. I look at my cover of the grinding wheel. I can pull that out as well. And voila, you have your second view that's created. Now with this, I'm going to try to pull out the grinding wheel as well. So I can easily just start hiding this. And I have options here to just say if I want to hide the selection or hide everything else but the selection. So for now, I'm just going to hide. Sorry, I'm just going to hide this for now. And I'm going to show you how we can pull out the grinding wheel. So this, if you look at the assembly tree, you can see that this entire thing is a sub-assembly that we have here. It's got two bushings and a nut. So if I just want to bring all of that out together, I can just select that within the assembly tree. And there are also multiple options for a linear explosion as well, just like we would have in SolidWorks, where they'll be like equidistantly exploded out. So you have this new view created here. If you're happy with that, you can go and create your next view. So if you see here, I've been able to just create 3 views, quick views, just by moving components around and just clicking a button called View Capture. All right, now if I want to just create maybe a BOM table for this subassembly. Let's have a look at this. So if I look at this part here, it's the guard assembly, and let me just choose the whole thing and hide the rest of it. So I'm just going to hide the rest of the assembly. Have a look at this subassembly here. I can set this in my viewport. There are, so even the environment here can be varied on properties. So suppose I just don't want this gray background, I want a white background. It's easy for me to set that. You can see there's some shadows and grid here. I don't really want that because I want to make this a technical illustration. So I just go down and say, okay, I want to take off my shadows and the grid, even the ground maybe. And you can also look at having a flat technical illustration. All right, so I have this. Now I want to explode this and create maybe a BOM table for this. So I can easily just go ahead and select the components I want to explode out and go back again to transform. Here I look at my translate button, which gives me the triad, and I'm able to pull out the screws. I have two washers here, which I would like to separate them out. I've done that. And this deflector plate as well I've moved out. So I've just moved all of them out together. Now there's another deflector plate here which I would like to move out as well. I have the ability to hide components to move in deeper into the subassembly. So if you can look here, I've been able to select a nut here, which I've been able to drag out just by hiding the deflector. So it gives you a lot of options to just move components around and easily access them as well. Now, if you would like to align them to maybe the components below, it gives you an option for that as well. So I'm just giving it a reference to move it into the same direction, but in the same plane of maybe another component within the same file. So I've managed to align them onto a particular plane. And it doesn't have to always be via a triad that you move components around. You also have the ability to move them in different formats. So maybe I'll just, to save time, try to just move some of the last components here. And maybe this is just a good view to start off with. And I would like to have maybe a bill of materials for this exploded subassembly. So it's just very easy to do that as well. I just select these components that I have in my property here, and I go into the BOM table, and open up my BOM workshop. So with this, it's given me the viewport, and there are a lot of options here that I'll have to create this BOM table and how we would like to align it. So I'll just say generate BOM IDs for all of them, and you can see my BOM table has been created for 12 BOM IDs. You can easily just create callouts for all of them. Now, each of these callouts that have been created are individual actors again. So all these callouts can be set for individual properties on color, the line thickness, variation, the size of the balloon, etc. You also, once you've set them and want to reuse things again, you have the option to just use themes. You create something, add it to a theme, and then you can use this anytime later as well. So I have some themes that I've created after adjusting the properties of this. I just add that, and all these new the balloons or the callouts that have been created are adjusted to the new theme. Also, when you go back to the BOM table, if you would like, you can even add a BOM table. So you can hide show a BOM table. My BOM table is ready here. Now again, this BOM table is a new actor, so you have the ability to adjust the properties for that. So now it's basically just placed at the bottom. You are free, you have the options to move it or align it as you need. Set the sizes, the dimensions of it. You can even set the text and stuff. So it has the property options here that you can use. So if I want to just increase the size, I can do that. This is basically picked up from the SolidWorks data that it imported. So if you would like to add any more additional maybe columns or details about this, so if you'd like to just maybe have the actor name, which probably could be different in your case, you just move it to the table and say apply, and you're done. You have this additional column created from the details that you need as well. There are a lot of options to how you can arrange this, set this around. So I won't be able to go through all of them right now, but of course, if once you start working on it, you get to realize this better. So you're happy with this maybe view, you have captured that, you have a new BOM table created within Composer within just a couple of minutes for the subassembly. So you can basically decide which components you need to have callouts and BOM tables for. All right, so you have 4 views created, and this is basically just demonstrating how our first part of this demo is to create views. Now, maybe I'll start adding some special illustrations. So I'll go back to the views we've created. If you see here, this is the screws that we moved out to take out the cover plate. I've just selected all the screws together. I go back to author, and there's an option here called path. You check that and you create associative path from neutral, and it automatically just creates these path lines for you for the screws. Now you have, again, each of these path lines is an individual actor by themselves. So you have the option of setting properties for each of these paths. But if you've already set up styles, you can look at that as well. So by default, each of these can be set at a particular style. So here, if you can see here, I'm just going ahead and setting each style for them. And there's a path, you can I have an orange path line set with a particular width, and I'd like them passing through the hole, so that I could set that as well. So that's as easy as setting illustration. So you have your path lines ready, you're happy with this view, you can just update the view that you have. You can just then go ahead and next to the next view, you've moved out your grinding wheel from the assembly, and you'd like to show maybe an arrow. So you go back to your author, click on arrow, and then you can maybe want to show them, want to add in a picture or an image created of an arrow that's showing them how this screw needs to come out. So you said that, again, this is a new actor. You can set individual properties for that. Go back to properties, you can change the colors and the thickness and width of the arrowhead and etc. Or you can go back to your styles, select a default theme that you've created, and you can set that as well. So that's as easy as creating arrows. You have a couple of options for arrows as well. So if you would like to orient something around a surface, so as you can see here, I've been able to, it's just automatically picked up the contour of the grinding wheel. You have the ability to, again, set properties for that, increase the size maybe of that, and sorry about that. So yeah, it gives you a couple of options. You can set them around axis, around orienting parallel to a particular plane, etc. So it's easy to just create all of that. Next, I'll just hop on again to my views, and I'll just quickly show you a new tool that it's not a new tool for SolidWorks, but something that's really impressive. Um, so if you go back into a digger tool here, this is a tool that can actually give you a couple of options to detail out a particular component. So if you want to, it's got different options here to either create X-ray or onion skin. Let me start with onion skin, which is basically just layering out individual components and diving deeper into the product. So if you would like to look further down into the assembly or sub-assembly to see the internal components, it's a good tool for that. You also have an X-ray mode, which will kind of give you the same effect, but with an X-ray, so you can see hidden, like maybe transparent wireframe lines, like an X-ray. It also has the option of creating cutting planes for your selection area, and it will automatically make dynamic cutting planes for you. Or you have the option to just zoom into particular areas. So for larger assemblies where you would like to detail out something that's more intricate, you can have this tool as well. And it's quite easy to just do that. Just there's a button here to capture the view, and once the view is captured, you can just move it aside, and then you also have the ability to link it to the original location, and it'll just give you a link there as well. Besides this, if you look at workshops, we've got high resolution workshops where there are different options that you can work on again. So if there's this rotor inside that I can see, I'd like to create a detailed view of that. I have an option here to just click on detail view and say create. And here you have a new a rotor view that's created without cutting or without creating, moving out any of the components, just showing you what's inside the product. So you can do that as well. A couple of options on that, which is quite impressive as well, without you having to do much of effort, just clicking on the correct selections. So if you look at, so this is how views are created, and you have a couple of views here. So maybe you want to just save this out as a view. You have a new view created. And now if you can have a look here, these are workshops. So you can have maybe a technical illustration workshop. So images that you've created here in each individual view, you have the ability to save them out as SVGs, vector files, or even have JPEGs. So for JPEG, there's a separate workshop, but it's just very similar to this. So looking at to create out vector graphics, you have options here to set which type of outline styles you'd like. You'd like to have sharp edges or construction edges or just smart outlines. You can create, you can include your Beziers. You can include your cutting lines, your hidden lines. There are a variety of options. You want to, if you want it to be more interactive, you can you can create options for your hotspots. Um, so it's basically a design illustration software. It'll have all the tools that you would have in any other designing tool like Photoshop or CorelDRAW. So it has all of that included here as well. It's just directly using it on your SolidWorks file. So that's and it also gives you options in using maybe silhouettes, high or low HLRs, or a lot of different options. So this is your technical illustration workshop. If you look at your high resolution image workshop, you can again have all these multiple views saved directly into maybe image templates or into a folder that you want, and you can have the white background included or removed. You can remove the ground here while just saving the image, and also adjust the pixels and the size of the image eventually. So also you can, if you want to go into advanced features, it's also got you can set your alpha channel and transparencies and all of that as well. So it's got wonderful workshops for doing that. Besides that, you also have the ability to publish this out into HTML. So if you look at this, there's an HTML option here where you can set up templates, and you can have this HTML output within that. You can even have your animations to be published out as an HTML, and I'll show you an example file that I've created for this product as well. Besides this, you can also publish this out into 3D PDF. So within that as well, you have the option to assign a particular template to it. If you've created a template that works for your company, you can use that and then publish out using all these interactive features within the PDF. So I'll take you through an example of that. Start off with the HTML, the BOM that we created. If I publish it out, this is a vector graphic file. So this basic SVG file. So basically it adjusts to the size of your device. Again, this is interactive. I can highlight the individual components within the BOM table as well as on the model directly. And if you want all the details, you can have all the views, the BOM table. So if this is within the HTML file, I am able to look at the model in detail. I can look at each individual view. I also have the ability to maybe go to have a look at the animations involved here. So it's got all these buttons given here, and this is completely interactive within the HTML. And if I take you through a PDF, this is a PDF file that I've opened up. Again, I have the ability to look at each individual view that we've created. And again, within the PDF, you have the option to run an animation. So if you create an animation for this product to show how this the grinding wheel has been maybe disassembled out of the assembly, you have the option to add that animation within a PDF for someone to have a view at. So Composer gives you a lot of advanced features in the output files that you can publish. I'll just stop this for now and go back to Composer. Now, we've covered the views creation. We've covered how you can add special effects. I've also taken you through what are the different output files you can create. Now let's just try and work out maybe a little animation. So if you go to animation tab here, and if I'll just with the constraint of time, I'm just going to show you something that we have created. All I have to do is basically look at any of these particular components, and I have the option here on the timeline. So this is when you open animation, you get the timeline created here, where you have the properties and the camera viewport and the location. So these are the three main features that you need to set for any component as you move along the timeline, and adjust that to a particular time, and it will reference that to the previous to create an animation. So if you go to your 2 seconds timeline and then you set up what are the features that you need at that position and at that camera angle, you then hop on to the next uh, time, so at the 4 second mark, and then you adjust the position of the individual actors you need, and you just click on the key here for the location or the camera view, and it sets that. So it just references it back to the original until this, and it animates it for you. So if you just and it along with this, it also has an animation workshop. So if you go here, you have an animation library in which you have different options to create motions for screwing, unscrewing, or rolling, or there are a variety of options. So if I've just used one of that here in this quick animation, and to just play it out for you, I've just to show you about this bench grinder directly. You can hide the components with changing the opacity. So this is from the animation library, the unscrewing. It highlights the screw first and then moves it out to the location you need it. And of course, you can adjust all the individual components for their opacities, for their positions and camera views. So this is how easy it is to create animation. This animation actually took me 25 minutes to just create it within Composer using this current file. All right, I'll stop about animation for there now, and let's go to the main part. That is the design change. What happens after you've created your views, your animations, everything's done. Now you get a management call saying, well, we've changed the design. The new CAD file can be just, you can just go down to this Composer file that you've created with all your collateral that you've created. You have an option here called Update. I just go ahead and click Update, go to my SOLIDWORKS Composer document, pick up the file, the new file that, or maybe if it's in a configuration, pick up the same file, so the bench grinder SolidWorks CAD file, and I go to a configuration set here as design change. Or you can just pick up, if they've made a new completely new file, you can just use that and click on Update. Give it a couple of minutes, and all these illustrations that you've created here, the views you've created, the animations you've created, will come in with the new design. So the new design basically has some vents over the cover, over the casing here. It's added a button and also embossed a SolidWorks logo. So all of that needs to be now created with introduced for all these views that we've created. So it's just making the conversion and updating the files for all of that. And it seems like it's done, and you have this new file here. If you can see some vents, the SolidWorks logo and the button here. And if you look at these individual views, they have with all the new features added as well. So if I even look at maybe the tech illustrations, they have the new features added with the new model. That means the model has been updated for each of these images. So you just directly go down to your high resolution image workshop, and you can just go and save as, and all these views that you've created, you can replace them with the new, it'll save out all these views for as high resolution JPEGs. And also this works out for the animation. So even if I just go back to the animation and play it, you can see it's with the new added features as well. So that's how we can implement design changes as well into the created products, and you don't have to look back and recreate anything again. So this is a quick glance about Composer. There are multiple options here. You can see I've just scratched the surface as much as I can within this limited time. So I'll just get back to my deck now. Going back to our initial scenario where we have what we had discussed, a little friend here in the bunker. Well, with SolidWorks Composer, he's got a new magical tool in his arsenal. Now just importing that CAD file into Composer, he can now basically create detailed 3D views. So our procurement manager with all his BOMs is happy. He has high resolution images for his product brochures. So that should help the marketing guys. We have website content with interactive HTML. So the IT manager is happy. Now you have training videos which are animated, created via Composer. So the training team has something that cannot get easier to understand. And you also have vector graphic files. So that's just in case if you need anything. And well, if the CEO has a challenge for you, that's design changes, well, bring it on. And with all that, you have a little surprise for the CFO as well. You've managed to make a lot of savings. And these are just some of the reviews by users of SolidWorks. Uh, Streamlining and simplifying this technical communication, it has many benefits. So benefits can go far beyond just freeing up your already overworked engineers. And with Composer, well, it helps you to create harder working, more effective technical communications. Engineers can spend more time designing and more easily create technical documents to communicate their work. The department's head can produce more work with the current staff and with little or no additional training, because this really doesn't need SolidWorks skills. And content creators can spend more time just creating content rather than just chasing engineering or any other department for updating data. And moreover, your customers or your partners, your resellers, and the other product users, they can basically have more efficient and more engaging experiences with your products, and that's what matters. The whole idea of Composer was to have success stories like this company here, Robert Juliet, which is in France, and make this like a reality for all. So, well, what are you guys waiting for? I hope I was able to do some justice to the tool in the limited time we have. So feel free to contact me by email for any queries that you may have about Composer, and I'll be happy to assist you. I'll try to reach out to all those who have registered for the webinar personally to seek your feedback. And thank you again for your time. I hope you found this webinar helpful and convincing enough for you to consider implementing Composer for your business. Right. Cheers. Have a good day.